Right, we're back out in the log cabin and I've got this carburetor here from a Medusa Compact 950 generator, which Gary, my son, is actually trying to repair on his Scrap It Man channel. And basically what he's done is taken it apart, this carburetor, given it a clean with some carb cleaner and put it back together, and it's still not starting. But when he starts the generator by squirting some fuel in the intake with some carb cleaner, it fires up straight away. So obviously there is still an issue with this carb. So what I said I'd do, I'd put it through my ultrasonic cleaner, take it apart, see if we can clean it a little bit more vigorously to see that if we can get, there is obviously some sort of blockage still in here. I did question that there was a problem with the supply to the carburetor when I watched this video, because the fuel tap was broken on it, the handle part of it, but also not sure whether or not he checked that the fuel was actually leaving the fuel tap when he turned it on manually with a pair of pliers, and it was. So he informs me that the carb was getting fuel to it, and also the float bowl was full of fuel as well. So what we're going to do, we just take this apart now. We'll see if we can get this stripped down a bit further than what he was able to, and perhaps clean it a bit more thorough. I've got the ultrasonic cleaner here, as you know, and I've filled it up with some water at the moment, hot water. And all I do to use as a cutting agent, because one of the things you do get, as I say, there's lots of small channels in these carburetors that you can't get to really. Cleaning them little small channels, if they're lacquered up, because fuel, once it's stayed in the carburetor for years and years, if it's not run for a while, it can actually lacquer up inside the carburetor, and you need something that's going to break that lacquer down. So I've got basically a drop of thinners, which is what I use now, and I just put a drop of that in the water. That's hot water, by the way, and that's all I do by using that as a cutting agent to get through the lacquer build up that's possibly in the carb. So let's get this stripped down now, and let's have a look and see if we can strip it down a little bit more further than what he did, and then we'll put it in the ultrasonic cleaner and we'll give it back to him and seeing if this actually did the job. So let's start stripping it down. Okay, so I've got the carb on my clean tray there, and as with everything, cleanliness is of the essence when you're dealing with carburetors. So basically this carb's had a good clean anyway, as I say, because he's cleaned it manually with carb cleaner. So let's just get that off of there. We'll remove the float bowl. Little rubber grommet around there. Now there is fuel in there, not a lot. Whether or not he emptied it out or what, I don't really know, but I'm rubbing my finger around the inside there. There is a couple of little bits floating about in there, but nothing that's going to give it any trouble. We'll take the float out and the needle underneath it. There we go, which are fine. Now on this type of carb, you've got the main jet on the side there. When that screws in, that seals obviously that hole. Normally you have to unscrew the main jet out of there. But on this type of carb, the main jet is actually on the side, which he's had out and he has cleaned. So I'm not expecting any problems with the main jet whatsoever. Oh, well, there's a bit of black on there. Look, I don't know what that's doing there. There's the washer, you see. There, but that bit of black was sitting in there, so I don't know where that's come from. Let's put that down there for the moment. Before I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, I will remove the O-ring in there. And I've got a pick tool there. As you can see, just remove that. Because sometimes, especially when you're using thinners, these can double in size when they go into a hot liquid, and also the thinners can make them expand as well. So I've taken that out, and I'm going to leave the gaskets in place for the moment, or can I? Yeah, because we haven't got any replacements. Now, in there you can see there is an emulsion tube in there, and ideally I would like to get that out. But I see on his video that he tried pressing down with an Allen key, because normally the emulsion tube, although you can't really see it in there, there's the throttle mechanism there, as you can see, which opens and shuts. But also turn it around the other way, that's the choke lever there, and you can't really get to the top end of the emulsion tube inside there because of these flaps basically. So what I'm going to do is actually remove the throttle flap by just undoing that Phillips screw, and that should pull that shaft out and I can gain access to it. So let's just push them bits to the back. So I'll just undo that There we go, that screw there. There's only one screw, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. It'll be a lot easier to reach the emulsion tube. So doing that, that should fall out. There we go. Put it down there. And we should be able to pull that tube out now, as you can see, look. And right through there, you can see that emulsion tube now. So just lay that back there. Remember what way that goes in, obviously. So it goes, so the little cutout is at the front there, as you can see. So, and that emulsion tube just sticking up there, if you can see that in there, that little brass thing, we should hopefully be able to push that out. So I'm also going to do the same to this side and take the choke flap out as well. Alright, that's better. That's a better fitting screwdriver. And again, just removing these two screws. That flap should pull out and withdraw like that. And that means I should be able to pull that shaft out now. There we go. Now as you can see there, straight through there we can see that we've got no restrictions there. And why you want to take that out is because down the side of the carb, I don't know whether you can see them or not there, but on the side here there's little holes, and that's where the pilot fuel from the pilot jet comes out. If you go down this side of the carb there, you can see the throttle stop screw there, and underneath it you've got this pilot jet, which is the slow running jet or the pilot jet, whatever you want to call it, and that mixes fuel and air through them little holes to get you started on slow running. That's where the fuel comes from. It comes through the main jet up that emulsion tube up there when it's on fast speed, when it's running full pelt. But initially it's these little holes, tiny little holes there, which you probably can't see, that are in the side, which latches up to that pilot jet there by internal galleyways that can block up. So that's why we need to make sure as well that we've got them free for the slow running. So I'll take out the throttle stop screw, which is 2.5 turns out. I've already measured that. So we'll just undo that throttle stop screw there. We'll take out that pilot jet. Again, he took these out, Gary. And again, that has got a very small, minute hole in the top of it, and also a hole going straight through there. But again, that could still be blocked or causing us issues, so I'll leave that for now. And there's a hole through that pilot jet where it picks up and delivers the fuel through to them little tiny holes I told you about that are on the side wall there. So we'll blow that through once we've heated it up and cleaned it all up. And this is an air screw, I think you'll find. So half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. It's 2.5 screws out. So now we'll remove that totally. There we go. That's just a pointed thing. And again, there's another little tiny hole there, which this one affects that little needle there. So that's 2.5 turns out. So basically, all the external jets that we can get to, the rubber seals, are all removed. So what I'll do now, I'll just put this into the ultrasonic cleaner, because this emulsion tube, again, I'm not too sure whether this one does come out. I've just given it a little lever by putting pressure on it, and normally they fall out, but I'm pushing it out now and don't want to know. So I'm hoping that if it does come out, by putting this in a hot solution in the ultrasonic cleaner, that might expand the aluminium and the brass might poke out. So let's put it in there now. Okay, so I'm just going to drop that in. Switch it on. Now I'm going to put this on for 20 minutes. And as you can see straight away that thinners in there is doing something. And we'll leave that now for 20 minutes and we'll come back to it. Here we go, 20 minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner. The temperature is actually 74 degrees in there, as you can see. I boiled the kettle to do this, so there we go. Now it's going to be very, very hot in there, so I'm pulling it out with some pliers. And hopefully that will be very, very clean now. But what I'm going to do, while it's still hot, I'm going to see if I can push that emulsion tube out now. So I'm just going to hold it in a piece of cloth while I just get an Allen key and just try and push down on that now. And if it was going to come out, Oh, let's try and get a rod going through there. There we go, that's a bit better. If it was going to come out, it would come out now. And it isn't. So obviously that's pressed in there very, very tightly. And it's not designed to come out by the looks of it. Although it would have been pressed in there, as I said to you, by a heavy duty press, I would have thought. So that's not meant to come out. So all we can do is now just quickly blow through the jets with some air. Oh, that's still really hot. So there's our intake, which we know comes out of our needle jet, so that's clear. We know that. The little pilot jet here, that's going to be coming out of these small holes, which you can't see on the side of the Venturi, but I can. So I'm just going to see if that's coming out of there. Yep. Through our emulsion tube, I put my finger over the hole for the main jet. Yep. And then the other little hole you can see, just whack the airline down. And that really is as much as you can do with cleaning the carb. And just to prove flow now we've seen it's clear with the air, I'm going to get the carb cleaner and squirt it down, and I'm looking for it to come out of the holes I need it to come out of. Right, yep, I can see that coming. So when I put it through the primary jet, I can see it coming through them little tiny holes in there, which you can't obviously see. And that lets me know that the primary jet is letting fuel through them tiny holes. So providing we've got fuel in the carb bowl, it should be sucking up when the engine is sucking to pull full fuel through them. So I now know that they are clean. I've just proved it. Before we didn't know that for a fact. So I know that they're clean now. So primary fuel is getting in via the primary jet. And this is the primary jet here. And I'm looking for it to come out of two other holes. One at the top and one through the other side. And it's doing that. So that's fine. So we know the primary circuit's working okay. So I can safely put that back in, knowing that providing the fuel is in the float bowl and sucking up via the main jet, via the internal chambers, it will be tapping in to the primary, and it from there to going into the engine via them tiny little holes. I know it's clear. So I'm just going to start nipping this up, putting this back together now. You haven't really got to see that. It's just a reversal. And then I'll come back to you, and then we'll have to obviously ship it back to Gary and for him to test it. So I'm going to put this back together now. I'll see you in a minute. Right, got everything back together now apart from the float bowl. And I just wanted to show you this. The float, as you know, lets fuel come into the float bowl. And if we got fuel in the float bowl, then that jet, which I've also checked, and them tubes and all them little Venturas, which we've proved are now clear, should suck the petrol into the actual engine when it starts from cold. So the float is in the down position at the moment, means it's going to let fuel in. So if I blow the inlet tube, and lift the float up, it should stop the fuel coming in, which it is doing. So I'm happy that everything there is working as it should do. Well, that's the most we can do with this carburetor. The choke is the outer one. If I remember rightly on what he said, that goes that way on there. And I'll just pinch that bolt up, knowing that everything now on this carb is as best as we can do. Not over tightening it, as you can see. And that is our carb now fully rebuilt with the ultrasonic cleaner, with a drop of thinners in, and the airline to critically blow down after you've got the carb cleaned, to make sure that if there is any blockages in them internal fuel galleries, the airline would have pushed it through. So I don't know whether we can see Gary at the moment. I don't know what he's up to, but I'm going to try and drop this back up to him, see if he can quickly put it back on and give it a test. So let's see if we can find if he's in. Right, just come round to Gary's. He's fitted it. The fuel tap's leaking on it, but we can't worry about that. He's ordered a new fuel tap. Remember I told you it was broken. So this is on Scrap It Man's video. Don't forget to check it out. And let's see if it starts. Right, come on in.
Low on petrol, so I've got to turn it so it's down there.
Low on petrol, yeah, it's dripping petrol at the moment. We can't odds that.
Oh yeah, look it come out.
Right.
Choke on.
Oh, come on, look at that. Happy days. Is the choke on?
Choke's on.
Right, go on and take the choke off. Right, choke's off now. Just all we've got to do is speed the tick over up, but there we go, absolutely running perfectly. Right, you've got to turn it off because it's leaking fuel at the moment because the fuel tap is knackered on it. But there you go. So it just shows you sometimes you do need an ultrasonic clean. If you've got a troublesome carb, and he cleaned that thing really well. That's it, you take it in, go on, take it in. And he cleaned that thing really well, shall? On his video, on Scrap It Man's video. If you want to see how he actually done that, and he done what everyone normally does. He got the old carb clean, he squirted it all through. The only thing he couldn't do was use the ultrasonic cleaner because he ain't got one. And also, it couldn't squirt through with, what's it called, compressed air. Yeah. And I've done that, I've basically done what he's done, basically. And I know I went a bit further in stripping it down because I tried to get that emulsion tube out, which we found out after heating it up in the ultrasonic cleaner. It obviously never come out, it was a press fit in there. And that was just the way it was. So, happy days. He's going to be fitting that on his Scrap It Man channel. Don't forget to check out Scrap It Man. And he did the part 1. Is it going to be part 2, the next one?
On Saturday.
Saturday, he does 1 video a week at the moment, and Shell, is that enough?
What, enough for what?
Well, videos.
No, you should get your finger out, do more than one.
Well, Shell, he's a beginner, Shell, isn't he? We'll be looking to get him up to 1,000 subscriptions.
Come on.
In the how long have you been doing it?
That's 5 or 6 weeks.
5 or 6. 5 or 6 weeks.
8 videos. So.
He's got 8 videos, 5 or 6, and we got him up to 500. Just over 500 at the moment.
595.
So let's give him a push. Let's see if we.
I push him.
I like to push you, baby.
I can't go near him, so I can't push him.
Let's try and get him up to 1,000 if we can. So if you do like he does sort of scrapping and repair type videos at the moment. I know it's hard to find stuff at the moment because everyone's locked down and all that, but just pop over there if you can, have a look, give him a little sub and that, and let's try and get him up to 1,000 subscribers. Anyway, baby, where's my drink? Can we celebrate? Shall? All the best.
Cheers.
See you later, folks. See you in the next video. Don't forget, check out my Butler's Empire channel and also my Retrorestore channel. And if you like this sort of stuff, it's what we do. Anyway, see you later. Bye for now. You're in the video at the moment. Oh, sorry, don't worry. I haven't got to show the world it. What's that?